Okay. Now Eric will tell us about how to create mobile apps with CodeParadise.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I'm not sure if the organization is available, but I would like to thank the organization for creating another great ESUG event. So kudos to all involved. And yeah, it requires an applause. I agree. I'm going to talk about developing mobile applications within CodeParadise. CodeParadise is an application I built with a special intention. Originally, I wanted to build a Smalltalk IDE to allow that runs in the browser to allow children to learn how to program, and of course learn how to program in Smalltalk, because that's the real language you would like to program in. And the idea behind CodeParadise is that it would have a very thin view layer running in the browser only. Everything else would run on the server. So that was the intention behind CodeParadise. And it runs using a tiny Smalltalk image in the browser, allowing communication between this tiny image in the browser, your Pharo IDE running regularly, and using a WebSocket connection, you can have a very interactive communication between the two, so you get this live experience while programming. That's important, I think, with developing in Smalltalk. So that's the origin of CodeParadise. The principal design behind it is using a model view presenter pattern in which only the view, which is kind of a passive view, if you the Martin Fowler description, only the view is running in the browser. The model and the presenter are running on the server. So that's to get the mindset of what CodeParadise initially was about. And then I got 2 requests to create mobile apps. And I should have said no, but I didn't. So now I'm here explaining you can also create mobile apps using CodeParadise. And there are 2 requests that came in. One is for what's called AutoMelody, and one the Moose app, an app for selling, trading, or giving away your abundance from your vegetable garden. And AutoMelody is an app that's used in communicating with people with autism and a limited intelligence. Turns out it's quite difficult to communicate with these people. And a friend of ours, their family, they have a child which lives in a care home because it's very difficult to have her. She requires 24/7 attention. And they noticed even the small things like when they visit the care home and would start to leave, it was always a sort of almost a fight when leaving, because Marianne, the daughter, she didn't understand why are you going, and even saying goodbye or waving didn't make it clear that it was time to leave. Until the mother, very musical, started playing a little tune. Every time they left, she started playing a specific tune. And it turned out, at some point, Marianne herself was waving. She understood that this tune meant it's time to leave. So it was very interesting to see that music could actually be a very nice means of communication. And another daughter of the family, she was still studying, and she made it her study to find out more about it. And specific melodies, and it is even nice if the melody has a resemblance with what is actually wanted or going on, actually works quite well as a means of communication. So this daughter came up with the idea to build an app. And she contacted me, can you build the app? I'm going to give a little demonstration. The app is not actually fully ready yet. It's in development. The Moose app as well, by the way. So here I have a simulator running my my apps, and there's the AutoMelody app. And this is accessing the internet to go to the app. And the apps are cached a lot, so it's sort of immediately there. And here you see an app in which you can register different residents of a location, and you can maintain a list of the different locations. And there's the different melodies belonging to specific tasks or actions you want to perform, and you can play that from the, oh, that's very soft. And these kinds of melodies are, and that's the part I haven't gotten to yet, are then put in schedules, so in day schedules for the different residents of a location, and the caregivers can use it to go to the residents, put on this little melody to specify what is going to be done, like we're going to brush our tooth, or we are going to do some cycling, and make communication easier, and hopefully remove some of the difficulties with getting things done in those care homes. So this is one of the applications, and as you can see, it looks like a regular application, but it's a web application actually. It's what's called the progressive web app, which allows it to look like a native app. So that's Audio Melody. I'll come to the Moose app in a minute during a little demo. There were 3 challenges, and I'll go through them one by one. First of all, there was the need to be able to work offline, because in these homes, in these care homes, there's not always a wireless network available in all locations. The residents don't have mobile phones, so there's no need for Wi-Fi in their rooms. So it has to be able to run offline. But as I mentioned at the beginning, CodeParadise is built to run a very thin client, only the UI in the browser. So it requires that there's more, and CodeParadise uses a sort of a lazy loading mechanism for your views. It has to be preloaded. And once there's more code in the browser, or in the app, it also means that there's more need for debugging probably in that location. Because you, of course, won't make bugs, but I typically make them on a regular basis. So that means that something goes wrong, and I have to fix it. But if it's running in the browser, and yeah, there's some need for debugging facility. So I needed to extend CodeParadise to be able to run more code in the browser, as well as add some features to debug things. And then there was a second challenge. There was a need to make it, at some point, a native application. Some of the features of the phone are to be used at some point, and also it would be nice that it can be acquired from the App Store, Play Store, or depending on your platform. It would be nice if it also would look native, that it looks like your regular application, so the users are comfortable with it, know where to look for certain things. So a possible solution there was to use the Ionic framework. Anyone familiar with the Ionic framework? A number. So it already allows you to create apps that look native, both on Android as well as iOS, and it offers a tool called Capacitor, which allows you to nativize an application. It's similar to Cordova. It has a native container in which your web application is running, and the container offers the features from the native system into this sort of browser environment that you're running your application in. So that sounded like, okay, we got a solution, or a possible solution for going native. But then a third challenge came about, which is the fact that Ionic is heavily based on promises. And promises are a bit of a thing. Promises make asynchronous work, or makes the work asynchronous. And so you have to make your code like everything you do is followed by a then. If it resolves to something, I'm going to do something else. Then it resolves to something, I have another block. And so your code becomes very, at least I think, difficult to read. It doesn't flow very well. And maybe if you're familiar, if you're familiar with promises in general, oh wait, but you have await. So let's use await. But await does not actually await. If you go a little deeper into how JavaScript works, await is not waiting. It's just splitting your function in two, and it's calling then again. So from my tiny Smalltalk image, that works a little different. I have no possibility to actually await. The thing is, Smalltalk can await. I mean, in Smalltalk, I can just suspend my process, and I'm waiting, actually waiting. So I could use that effect. The only problem being the way I, at that point, had my JavaScript functions working in CodeParadise didn't work the same way. So I had to do quite a bit of refactoring there to make that work, but that was solved as well. Just for interest, this is how an actual await method on a promise, instead of the keyword variant that JavaScript is using, it's just setting up the then and a reject on the promise. So if it resolves or if it gets rejected, it will do something. And I'm just suspending the active process. And both branches, the successful and the unsuccessful branch of the promise, will reactivate, will resume the original process. And it can continue and either answer the resolved or fulfilled value or signal the rejection. So in Smalltalk, the lovely Smalltalk, we can actually build an actual await with a couple of lines of code. Okay, so I wanted to add a price. I wanted to add a price to the Moose app, the vegetable garden app, which I'm building. It's not finished yet, and I still don't have a feature there that you can actually add a price to a product. So I'm going to do some demoing here on the app. Zoo. So here's my. I hope the font is big enough to read. I always find it difficult to find the place where to enlarge it. So not too much. I'll try to keep it this way. And I have to start a server. Now I'm starting up a REST API, which is built using CodeParadise. That was already something I had built before, so CodeParadise was already growing a bit more than the web application, but again, now also the mobile app. And here I have the Moose app application. I've got 3 main packages. One for the model, which is used both in the REST API in the data package, as well in the app package, which is the view, the presentation. Let's first show, oh, sorry about that one. Why doesn't it always go bigger? So it's starting up the application. Oh, but why isn't it connecting to my... Darn. Beautiful. There it is. Beautifully set up, but lost connection. It also means I'll probably have to restart this one. All right. So this is the start. It's an application that also is going to be run as a website. So it has a bit more content than you would normally probably expect from an application. So it's Dutch, but I hope you can understand a few words. Mijn producten is saying the products I'm offering to, and it didn't load perfectly well. Loading it once more. Sorry, the style wasn't loaded correctly. Okay, so I'm logging in. and I've got my list of products, and I can change the product. I've got photos added to my product. I can change the position of the photos. The first photo is one shown in the result list when someone is searching for my product. But this product, it doesn't have the price just yet. And price, by the way, is either I'm going to sell it, but I might also want to trade it, or I want to give it away. So price is going to be not just a currency value, but it's going to be a text. So I'm going to add that to the model first. So I have this model here, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to have a price. And as you can see, I'm using slots here. Special slots. Okay, so I've added the price. And I want this price to become visible in my view. So I'm going to go to the view. And there I have a template. And I'm going to add one item. I'm going to do lazy way of copy pasting. Nope, that was not copy pasting. Darn. And it's going to be not the title, but it's going to be the price. It's a text field, and by default, I'm going to put in the text that it's going to be free. And I'm saving it. And now it's already showing me the field, but there's no label just yet. Oh yeah, stupid me. I forgot to add the label. And there's also one thing on the instance side. I have a mechanism to make it a bit easier to map all these fields onto the model, so I can specify so-called bound properties. Then it will map a property of a model onto an identified field within the template. So I'm going to say, okay, price is going to be my bound property as well. And I define some labels in a multi-language definition. Oh, that was quick. Label, by the label products, I have a category, and then I'm going to add a price there as well. And I've made quite a few things that update immediately when I save a method. So like now I'm saving the method. Actually, the multi-language feature updated, except for the fact that I don't yet update the whole screen. It's something that I have to change. So for now, I have to go out of this screen and go back into it. And now my price has a label too. Okay, so it's quite easy to add it on this side, but I also need to add it on the server side, of course. It needs to be stored in the database, and I need to retrieve it there. So I'm looking at the time. Well, let's see how far I get. I'm going to the database. It's a SQLite database. And I'm going to do an alt table on the products. And I'm going to add a column like that. And I'm going to go to the code for the database service, which is REST API. And there I already defined like getting all the products. And now I have to add that it's not only retrieving all the existing ones, but it has to retrieve the price as well. I think that should be enough on this method. And on the create product, it has to be added. I have to remember, please help me remember, I have to add an accessor for the price, because it's not default. And updating a product also needs to set the price. Oh, Okay, so going back to the model, adding the price accessor. Voila. And now I should be able, because it updates the REST API as well directly, to update things. So if I now say it's not free, but it's going to cost you 12 euro. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to leave the page, but I haven't saved it yet. So yes, saving the data. And then coming back. Oh yeah, it saved it. So it's fairly easy to do a little round trip of changing things, both in the web application as well as in the REST API, the sort of the server side of. Yeah, I'm thinking, but because of time, I'm not going to tell too much about it. Last year, I presented something about CodeParadise, and this was the slide I showed, like what's the status of CodeParadise. Except for the top part, that's not the in-use part, but the room to evolve. And I have to admit, I only added stuff to the room to evolve. So there's still more need for documentation, examples, and tests. Next to the Node.js debugger, I probably need a better browser debugger there as well. So hopefully next year I can make the list shorter instead of longer, but who knows what following requests comes my way. Because the thing is, yeah, I should have said no, but I didn't. But that's because both projects have something that sort of really resonates with the values I appreciate. Instead of losing communication because we're so busy on our phones, use the phone as a means to communicate with people who have difficulty communicating, maybe in the way we're used to, with words and maybe hand gestures. And instead of wasting the abundance we have from our earth, let's give it away, trade it, or sell it to others so it's actually used. So people have honest food, healthy food, so this really resonates. So I said yes. That's it. I do have some time.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Somebody has a question?
Yes, I could have done it in Pharaoh.js as well. Or wasn't that your question?
No, actually, my question is, I'm looking for, since many months, for a solution to fix the GitHub action in Pharaoh.js for running the tests. And I was wondering whether you have your code on GitHub, and are you running some action to run the test suite? This is what we were doing, and we were doing it with Dave for having the current version and preparing for the next one. So we were always in sync, but then something changed in GitHub and we don't know what. So I was wondering, do you use GitHub and do you use GitHub Actions for running your tests? Because you need to open the web browser, which we need to do, and we face the same.
I use GitHub. I do not use GitHub Actions, but it's one of those things on, well, not the evolve list, but more the to-do list, which is even longer, is to see, and I think it should probably work quite well to run GitHub Actions using CodeParadise apps or something you can build, yeah. But I haven't done it, so maybe we can look at it together.
I have first a technical question. So you mentioned that in Auti Melody, so you put everything actually has to be a standalone app.
It sort of preloads the data as well when you start up the application. So it's sort of assumed like you're in a more central location, start up your app, and it will load the data. And from that point on, it will cache it until there's an internet connection again, and it might update data.
Okay, so that actually my question is, in that scenario, when you have data and you are not, you preloaded the data, you are not connected now anymore. Mm-hmm. and you want to edit the data. And maybe somebody else is editing the data from their own phone. So do you have some mechanism to consolidate the data, or what do you?
Last wins. Yeah, currently. It's in this application probably not very logical that someone else will, okay, what do you change? You would typically change the schedule of someone, and that's typically done either by an administrative group who's doing that, or the caretaker or caregiver at that point with someone. So then it's not likely that there's going to be any concurrency issue. So currently there's nothing there. Yeah.
And I have another small question, but maybe you don't know. But so when you told the story about Melody,
yeah,
it kind of resonated on me. Like, okay, when for example, my kid is 5 years old, but when he was a baby, we were talking to him in different languages, and we were using sign language. So. And I said, okay, yeah, because actually we were kind of augmenting the words, the spoken language, with other kind of stuff to communicate better with him. So, what are other features that the people from Audi Melody are asking you to add maybe later, or I don't know?
Yeah, well, the app will probably mostly be around the audible part. So we already spoke about maybe being able to use either speaker devices in a room, for example, or maybe have small tags on items, so you can sort of use that to scan and play the music to do an action related to some item, or have a little card with relevant items for a resident in their home, so you can scan it and start that sound. Because it's currently mostly about the positive effects they have seen with using the sound, the melodies as a means to communicate. Yeah. So
you're going IoT.
Well, yeah, a little, yeah, true.
Hi, my question is, what happens if you have a runtime error? How do you debug that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'll give a little bug. So back to the seller product, no, so the product view, and handle click preview, and I'm just gonna do, I've got this buyer product, and I'm gonna say Schlossbliz. So this is when I click on the preview button. So going back here, and I'm clicking on the preview button. I would have expected a little more than that. It's actually saying that it doesn't understand the blah blah, but my debugger didn't show up. Okay, there's too much time to. There is, funny that it doesn't appear right now. There's a little debugger which is more a debug view than an actual debugger. I can't update things. I can't go stepping through my code, but it shows the active context. It will show all the variables of that time, and so you at least have some notion of what went wrong. The hard part being that because a lot of things are promises, you lose a lot of context because the promise is running in its own little process in a new context. So it's pretty empty. You don't have much call stack to go on in case of its part of this promises mechanism. So
okay. I think that we are on time. So thank you, Eric.